What's up, Jets fans? Welcome to the latest edition of Jets Latest, where you get the latest on the Jets, Jets. I'm your host, the spitting statistician, Dane Martinez, and today we continue to talk about the culture that is building for the green and white, and why I personally think that is an exciting thing for Jets fans. Like, they're not winning the offseason, they're not getting the splashy free agent, and I've said a ton with the new head coach, Aaron Glenn, and the new GM, Darren Moji, that they are building youth, they are building competition, and I have also referenced a bunch of times how Aaron Glenn is kind of doing what he saw in Detroit, right? What he saw Dan Campbell do. I've referenced D'Amico Ryans in Houston, and now I've got more context for that. Listen to what Detroit Lions head coach had to say about Aaron Glenn and how he would pretty much follow the same model on turning it around. He said, if he can't turn around the Jets, nobody can. As long as he's got the support, AG will turn that thing around. He is an unbelievable leader. He's the type of person that make people really want to rally around him. And I think we have seen that. We've heard guys like Justin Fields. We've heard guys like Brandon Stevens who have come on into this organization and say that Aaron Glenn was really a big reason why. I think Aaron Glenn has been that way with the reporters talking about what this team is going to be. You remember like when Dan Campbell got hired in Detroit and he talked about biting kneecaps and all that stuff. People thought it was silly, but he really built a culture. And Aaron Glenn had a first row seat for this as his defensive coordinator for 4 years. And listen, that defense in Detroit went from 29th in DVOA all the way up to 5th in 4 years. Okay, so they built, and listen, they were 5-11 when Dan Campbell took over. They won a division. They went to an NFC championship game. They had 15 wins in 2024. I obviously believe that Aaron Glenn is taking that same model, and a lot of that is building by bringing in the youth, building together. Here's another parallel I want to make. You know how I've been talking about these second act quarterbacks, how like Baker Mayfield did it, Sam Darnold did it, Geno Smith did it. I expect Justin Fields to do it, but here's another one. Look at what Jared Goff has become in Detroit, right? When he got traded in that Matthew Stafford trade, he was pretty much a throwaway, but Jared Goff, another top first round pick, top overall pick, didn't make it in his first stop, finally got with an organization that was building around him, that believed in him, that built a culture, and now he is a Pro Bowler and looked at as one of the better quarterbacks in the NFC. That's what I think Aaron Glenn and the Jets are doing, and I really believe that the model, quite frankly, is from the Detroit Lions. I think it is Detroit 2.0, and I think Aaron Glenn is doing exactly what Dan Campbell set out to do in Detroit. Now, it is going to take some time, but remember, Detroit was a laughing stock, for goodness sakes. They were 0-16, never in the playoffs. Like I said, when Dan Campbell came on, they were 5-11, but they've won a division title. They've gone to a championship game, and now they are one of the true contenders in the NFC with a forgotten man at quarterback in Jared Goff, who has developed. I believe we're doing the same thing in New York, hopefully with Justin Fields. So keep an eye out on that and be excited about the building young competitive culture and the way that Aaron Glenn is talking about what this team is going to be on the field. But as you know, we are looking forward to the NFL draft later on this month, and there are mock drafts aplenty. And check this out. Field Yates, one of the biggest draftniks out there, one of the biggest draft analysts out there over on ESPN, he released his latest mock, and let me tell you something, it's almost like he's a subscriber to Jets Latest because he completely agreed with what I have been saying here on Jets Latest. At number 7 overall, he's got Armand Membu coming to the Jets. And if you don't know, now you know. Membu is one of the top offensive tackles in this draft. I have been talking about him for a while. 6'3", 314 pounds, out of Missouri. PFF had him as one of the best, highest rated tackles in the class. A 90.6 pass blocking rating, an 86.6 run blocking rating, an 87.6 overall rating. That is incredibly good, top of the food chain when it comes to the offensive tackle. And I think the draft board is going to fall perfectly for us to go ahead and get Membu with 2 quarterbacks taken. Guys like Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, maybe Ashton Genty, as we've talked about in previous episodes of Jets Latest, leaving the offensive tackle to fall in our lap at number 7. Membu had gave up 3 sacks in 3 years. at Missouri, okay, and great at the combine as well. His 40-yard dash was second among offensive tackles. I know that's not huge, the dash for a tackle, but still, the vertical jump, third among tackles. The broad jump, best among tackles. So he is an athlete right there, performed well, didn't give up sacks, and I believe he is the pick for the Jets at number 7, and so does Field Yates. But then, in round 2, Field Yates has the Jets getting Mason Taylor, the tight end out of LSU. I have been talking about Mason Taylor out of LSU the entire time. I have been saying, because everybody wants the tight end, right? Everybody wants Tyler Warren potentially at 7. I have been saying that this is a deep tight end class and that Mason Taylor would be a great target. Let me remind you, Mason Taylor is 6'5", 251 pounds out of LSU, only dropped 1 pass all of last year, 68% of his catches went for first downs. He has the LSU record for 55 receptions in a year. He is the only LSU tight end ever with 100 catches and 1,000 yards in his career. And if you want pedigree, if you want bloodlines, if you want like the kind of stock to have in a player that you are bringing in to this culture, into this environment, Mason Taylor, you remember the name Jason Taylor, the Pro Bowl pass rusher, mostly for the Miami Dolphins, a little bit of time with the Jets as well, Hall of Fame pedigree, yeah. He's Jason Taylor's son. You remember the stud middle linebacker for the Miami Dolphins for a decade, Zach Taylor, also Zach Thomas, also a Hall of Famer. Yeah, Mason Taylor, that's his nephew. So talk about the kind of bloodlines and the pedigree that you can have. Field Yates has Membu going in the first round, Taylor going in the second round, just like I have been talking about over here on Jets Latest. So I think that if it goes that way, I would be very excited about that. And this could be more evidence that we don't have to get Tyler Warren at number 7. I know a lot of people want that dynamic playmaker, thinking that we missed out on Brock Bowers last year as a tight end in the first round, but we went offensive line with Olufushanu. And I think in the long game, that absolutely works. Just like in the long game, doing this and getting Membu first and maybe adding Taylor to our tight end room is the way to go. Speaking of the tight end room, our GM, Darren Moji, was in front of reporters at the owners' meetings talking about it. He was asked about the tight end room, and guess what? He said he really likes the tight end room and the depth of the tight end class. Listen to this. Asked about the Jets tight end room, he says, "We feel good. Ruckert could take the next step." Remember, that's Jeremy Ruckert, third-year guy out of Ohio State, who was Justin Fields' tight end at Ohio State. He says Ruckert can take the next step. It's a good tight end class in the draft. We feel good about adding Stone Smart. Stone Smart is the free agent tight end from the Chargers. Flashed athletically, was a former quarterback, get praise from all the coaches, has the athletics, and is in his 20s. So he says, feel good about adding Stone Smart. He's an athletic guy with some upside, and so we feel good about the tight end room. Honestly, that makes me think even more that we are not necessarily looking at Tyler Warren at number 7. We have Ruckert. We have Stone Smart. I think competition is the kind of, model of the day here with the Jets. You heard Aaron Glenn recently saying that everyone on the draft, on the depth chart is written in pencil. I think this is part of that. Because honestly, if you take Tyler Warren at number 7 overall, you're gifting him the job. You're saying he is our stud tight end. That's not the way this regime is going about it. They have Ruckert. They have Smart, building that youthful competition, right? I think a second or third round pick, whether it's Mason Taylor, who I've been touting from LSU, there's been a lot of buzz about Terrence Ferguson, the tight end out of Oregon as well. You put one of those guys into the tight end room and have competition there. Let them compete, let them figure it out, and whoever ascends is the guy that's going to catch 45, 55, 60 balls in this offense. That seems to be more of the model, more of the vision, more of the approach here of this new Jets regime. So I think Moji talking about he likes the tight end class. He likes his tight end room. That's also smokescreen season here right before the draft, as a lot of teams are doing, playing it close to the vest, not, showing or telling what they want to do. But I do believe even more, it reinforces the idea that we're going O-line, just like Field Yates said, at Membu, number 7 overall. And if he's not there, I still think it's going to be Will Campbell, and then a tight end in the second or the third round. So that'll do it for this episode of Jets Latest. But listen, you got to feel good about Aaron Glenn as a leader of men, a builder of culture. That's exactly what Dan Campbell said after his experience with him in Detroit. You got to feel good that other people, the experts, quote unquote, out there are agreeing exactly what we say on Jets Latest here about Membu or O-line at number 7 overall, and then the pass catchers, particularly a tight end in the second or third round, and how it may not be Tyler Warren, but we are obviously steering towards an impactful draft to add to this culture. And again, it might take some time. It took 4 years in Detroit, right? But all of a sudden, Jared Goff is a Pro Bowler and the Detroit Lions are a true NFC contender. It may take some time, but we're going to build around Justin Fields, and hopefully in due time, we will be a true AFC contender as well, with Darren Mosey as the GM, Aaron Glenn as the head coach, and Justin Fields as our quarterback. That'll do it for this episode of Jets Latest. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. This way you know every time we go live and give you the latest on the Jets, Jets, and tell a Jet fan friend to tell a Jet fan friend. If you want more from me, the spitting statistician Dane Martinez, remember, I am also the host of the FTN Fantasy Show over on Sirius XM Channel 87, the Fantasy Channel, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern every weekday. We give you all the insights, everything you need to win your league and win that cash, not only about the Jets, not only about the NFL, but fantasy football, baseball, March Madness, the NBA. It doesn't matter. We've got you covered. Check us out over on Channel 87 from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern on the FTN Fantasy Show. Hit me up, engage in the comments. I love going back and forth with you guys, and you can also find me on social media at Spittin' Speeds, but you will be sure we will be back next week right here on Jets Latest, giving you everything you need to know in advance of the NFL Draft, which will be an exciting and impactful time here for the green and white. That'll do it for this episode. We'll see you on Monday. We out of here. Have a great weekend, everybody. Peace.